Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this one we are going to model this cool looking hard surface bottle. This bottle is just an example. You can apply the same techniques and methods to model really complex and tricky shapes. The methods I used in this tutorial to model pinching free surfaces are really important, so I highly recommend watching this tutorial to the very end. You can also find the image plane of this tutorial under the community tab of the channel. Starting with this tutorial, you can find the materials of the tutorials under the community tab of the channel. So if you are ready, let's get into it. Firstly, let's head over the model layout. I will go to the front view. I will hit Shift and V to load in an image plane. Then I will go to the back and select this image. I will also increase up the transparency. Now we are good to go. My first object is going to be a cube. Let's adjust the rough size. It doesn't have to be exact, as we will be adjusting this cube along the way. Now I will tap C on the keyboard and make it editable. Now let's go into points mode and grab rectangle selection tool. Now I will move these points into proper positions. The current resolution will not allow us to get the exact bottle in the image, so we need to increase up the resolution gradually. So let's right click and grab lookout tool, hold down shift, add this one, then increase this up to 2. Now I will go back to the points mode, rectangle selection, and move these points again. Notice the way I am moving these points. As you can see, there is a bit distance between the points and the bottle in the image. The reason is subdivision surface shrinks down the objects, especially the low poly objects, a lot. So we need to have a bit space. By the way, let's turn off the work plane, it gets in the way. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in another loop cut right in the middle by holding shift. Then I will tap E, move tool, going into edge mode, double click, hit T, and scale this on the Z. Once I have done that, I will go into polygon mode and I will grab bottom and top polygons. Actually, let's select this first, then scale this on the Z. Now I will select these ones. Something like that. I'm going to hold down Alt and put this object under a subdivision surface. Let's go back to the object. I don't think we need these top and bottom polygons. I will just select them and delete them. Now let me go into points mode, move tool, and select these 2 points and scale them on the Z. I will click off, check the mesh. I will double click on that edge loop. Then that loop, scale it on the Z. Let me hit N and B to see the current resolution of this subdivision surface. I will select the subdivision surface and increase up the resolution to, say, 4. We should also set this to 4 as well. The reason is I will be using this object for projection, so it should be as smooth as possible. Now I will tap C on the keyboard. This is going to make this object editable. I will call this Pro. Next up, I want to draw these details in the image on this projection object. To do that, first we need to unwrap the object. By the way, I just noticed that the bottle we have doesn't match the bottle in the image. It is not too late. We can hold down Shift and add in an FFT deformer. I'm going to increase up the Y segments, then points mode, rectangle selection. That seems a bit better. Let me apply this deformer, right click, connect objects and delete. So as I mentioned, first we need to unwrap this object. I will switch to the UV edit layout. I will go into polygon mode, select them all and reset them first. I will go to the edge mode, then double click on that edge loop in the middle as a seam. Once I have done that, I will click on UV unwrap. I will go back to the polygon mode, select them all, and rotate these around a few times. To do that, let's go to the transform and type in 90, click on apply. To be sure about the alignment of the UV, I'm going to enable UV map. It seems like we need to flip it. So I'm going to apply the transform 2 more times. Lastly, let's come over to the UV packing and pack that UV island. Okay, this will be more than enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. Now let's head over to paint layout. Right off, I will open up the 3D setup wizard. For Bodypaint, I will enable the object, say next. Turn off recalculate UV because we just did that, say next. For the resolution, 1K will be more than enough. Finish and close. Now I will be able to draw on this mesh. Let's go to the front view. I will hit NNA. Then I will go to the objects, find the object, go to basic and enable X-ray to see through. Now what I am going to do is quite simple. I will just go over the details of the bottle in the image. This process doesn't have to be exact. I mean, what you can do with a mouse is limited. Something like a lazy mouse will be really nice for this process. Let me know if you can do that in Cinema 4D. Okay, seems nice. Now the one in the middle. Okay, this is going to be enough. I know this is not perfect, but it gives me enough information about the details. So I will move on. I will go back to the model layout. Let's come over to the mesh and grab polygon pencil. I will go into the model mode. Then in the settings of the polygon pen tool, I should enable reproject results. By doing so, the polygons that I will be adding will be snapped on the surface of this object. Let's add in the first polygon over here. And then I will hold on Control and extrude these polygons along the drawing. We need to be really careful with the polygon numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I will try to keep it as low poly as possible. Therefore, it's easy for me to edit. Just stay away from high poly unless you need it. At some time, we are going to need a high poly mesh, especially to model that detail in the middle. But until that point, we need to keep the mesh really low. Now I will try to even out these polygons. I mean the lengths of these edges. I should keep it as even as possible. Also, the position of that edge is really important because that detail in the middle starts exactly at that point. So we need to position that point properly. It should not be here or here. Now we can start to build up the next loop. It is going to be around the cap. So let's add these polygons in, Alt and Control. While doing that, try to keep the lengths of these edges the same because we will be merging these later. Alright, now let's start to merge these edges in the middle. Sometimes polygon pen tool goes crazy. It glitches out. If that happens, just simply exit the tool. You can, for example, tap E, switch to the move tool. Then you can grab the tool one more time, right click, polygon pen tool. You see that happened again. I will tap E and then go back to the polygon pen tool. Now I'm just trying to even out the polygon sizes. Let me select these boundaries and align them perfectly on the Z. The reason is I will be mirroring these on the other side, so we need to watch out these edges. Doing this is quite simple. I will just come over here, find the proper position, the Z, then I will zero out the size and the position. Next up, let's extrude these across, Alt and Control, extrude them. This is going to be quite easy and simple. This is one of the reasons why you should keep your mesh as low as possible. By the way, as I mentioned, this part is going to be quite important. We should watch out the flow of the detail, so that edge or that point should be around here. But this is going to create a problem. I don't think 2 polygons will be enough to support that curve here. So I am thinking about adding more geometry. Like here, first I will go up, then I'm going to merge these points, then hold down Control and get rid of that edge. And maybe another one around here. You should always increase up the density gradually, not at once. Okay, that seems fine to me. Now I will just hold down Control, extrude these down. While adding these polygons, you end up having some poles. For example, like that one. The thing is that this pole has 3 edges, so it is quite dangerous, especially if you have it on a curved surface. I am sure that that point will cause some pinching on the surface, so we need to find a way to carry that pole off to a safer place. For example, that edge loop. Well, to do that, I will get rid of these and then connect that point to that one, and then I will snap that edge to that edge. Now the curved part is pinching free. Let's continue adding these polygons. Now I will try to even out the polygon sizes one more time. You can also use equal spacing tool. I will select these ones and apply the equal spacing tool. Let's select this one as well. That tool makes it a bit easier. I will apply the same tool. I will select these edges first by holding right mouse, right click, equal spacing tool. Now I will double click on the bottom edges and I will scale them on the Y by holding shift. Alright, I think it is time to select these edges and align them again along the Z. Zero these out. Now I will mirror this on the other side. To do that, let's go into polygon mode, select everything, right click, and open up the option of symmetrize. I will turn this off, link with hop. I will turn this off and enable Z. The reason is this is facing the Z axis. I believe we added these ones on the minus side of the Z, so I will select minus to plus and click on OK. Perfect. Let me hide the projection object and drop this one into SFD. Hold down Alt, add an SFD. By doing so, we lose all these lines, all these details, because subdivision surface is trying to subdivide everything. To control where the subdividing is happening, we can select these edges. I'm just holding Shift. We can select these edges and disconnect them. Right click and disconnect. I will also lower down the resolution of the subdivision surface. 1 is going to be perfect, 2 is too much. I need to increase up the resolution. The reason is I need to add in that detail in the middle. With these given polygons, it is not possible to model that part. So we need to subdivide the mesh and 1 will be perfect. This is a very distractive approach. I mean, if you hit C on the keyboard, there is no going back. So to have more control over tweaking the mesh, I'm going to group this subdivision surface first, then add in a shrink wrap deformer under the same null. Let's move this up. Once I have done that, I will put this projection object into the target object tab. This may result in something like that, don't worry. It's quite simple to fix. I will select my source object, going to points mode. I believe something is wrong with that point. It probably doesn't cover the projection mesh. So I will move this point around until it is fixed. Yes, perfect. It is that easy. I want to also add in more geometry to the midsection. I will hold down Shift and add in that loop. Let's check the bottle. It seems like there's a mismatch in the details, so I will grab the polygon, the bottle. Let's call this bottle. I will go into points mode, rectangle selection, and move these around. You can see the importance of non-destructive workflow. If I make this subdivision surface editable, it will be way harder to adjust these points. But right now it's quite easy because we have very low poly mesh. I will click off. Seems like we need to adjust these as well. Before applying this deformer, shrink wrap deformer, I want to spend a bit more time on this area, especially because it's quite dense. This may cause some lumpiness on the surface, so I will just turn this off, enable projection mesh. I will hit NNA, grab the bottle, polygonpen tool, and move this around until you have something even. Okay, seems a bit better. Which means that I can select the null, right click on it, and click on current state object. You can delete this one or hide it just in case if you make a mistake. Now I will move this out of that null and connect these edges. These are already selected, so all I need to do is right click and grab Stitch and Shift tool. If these are not selected in your case, you need to select them by using selection, Tab V, selection, then select these edges. Make sure that all the necessary loops are selected. For example, it didn't grab these edges, so I will hold down Shift, select these as well. Then right click, Stitch and Shift tool, and connect these. Now for the other side, I will use the loop selection again and select the loops on both sides. Also, you can check out the number of the edges. If you see something uneven, it means that the selection failed. Anyways, now let's grab Stitch and Shift tool and merge these points. Next up, I want to grab these polygons in the middle. The reason is, we need to push these in, scale them in. To do that, I will not use a regular scale tool. I want to move these along the normals. So I will right click, go to normal transform and grab normal move tool and move these in. Now I need to do the same thing with that edge loop. Unfortunately, for the same reasons, I will not be able to scale this along the normals, even if I set this to normal. But I know a perfect workaround. I will just bevel these out. Right click, bevel. Then select that loop. Right click, normal transform, normal move, and move this in. Now I will drop in a loop right in the middle, then select these edges and dissolve them out. Now let me cap off these holes. It's going to be quite easy because we have a great tool for that. Close polygon hole tool, close the hole, then enable patch. Rotate this around until you get something even. Let's do the same thing here. Perfect. Next up, sporting edges. Or before getting into that, I believe these top polygons are not flat. I will make a font break selection. Hit T, set this to normal, scale, then Alt and Shift. Nice. Now sporting edges. Let me drop this one into a sub first. Then loop selection. Right click, bevel. I will go into solid mode. This is another way to add in sporting edges. Depending on what you want, you can increase or decrease the offset. Something is not right here. Yeah, I know the reason, because you should have changed this option to uniform. Let me show you live. With the default setting, you will get these triangles, but if you set this to uniform, it is going to remove these triangles. I will hit Q, orbit around. It looks perfect, especially I'm looking at these curved parts. Since we don't have any poles, these parts are looking just perfect. Now, what about these ones? Well, same. Loop selection, bevel, in solid mode, and that's it. Next, let's model the detail in the middle. This is going to be quite easy. I just select the Leica tool, then go over the detail. Exit the tool. We need to delete the other side. Then I'm going to go into polygon mode, move tool, hold down right mouse, and then I will select these polygons inside. Delete. Go into point mode, grab polygonpen tool and clean up the mesh. While doing that, we need to watch out the detail. So I believe I can add that edge in and merge these points like so. You can also move that point slightly, not too much, otherwise it is going to break the smoothness of the surface. That was easy. Now let me double click on the loop. That part is uneven. Let's set this to world. Right click, world. Okay, seems better. I will hold down Control and extrude these edges 2 times. Now, while these edges are selected, I will come over here and zero out the position and the size. Let me make a loop selection and grab slide tool, alt and control, and clone these out. You will notice we have some Ngons, that one and that one. But notice what it's going to do when I enable subdivision surface. I will tap Q. I will hit N and B. As you can see, these turned into perfect quads. It is absolutely safe to use Ngons in this workflow. Just stay away from triangles. Let me show you what would happen if we have triangles. I will tap Q, hit N and B, and this is the result with a triangle. You can find these edges too sharp. If so, just select these polygons and move these on the Z. That should soften these parts out. Now let's mirror this on the other side. I will click off, right click and click on Symmetrize. It is time to work on the top part. We need to add in some details. I will select these polygons. We need to open up a hole over here, a perfect circle. Unfortunately, it is not going to be as easy as using this fit circle tool. At first glance, it looks perfect, but remember that surface is angled. If I extrude these up and scale them on the Y, you will notice that it is not a perfect circle. It is kind of squished. So we need to add in a cylinder as a reference. I will add in a cylinder, move it up, scale it. I will go back to my bottle. Let's call this back to bottle. I need to know exactly how many polygons I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, which is equal to 8 segments. So I will set this to 8. We can remove that. Now I will open up enough space for the circle. I will select this back, make an inset. Now I will slide these new points around to mesh the cylinder. You can do that with a boolean. It is going to be probably more precise than sliding. I don't know, I just like to do it that way. Okay, let's delete the cylinder. Move these up by holding Ctrl. Scale them on the Y. And then make an inset, Alt and Ctrl, delete, hit Q. We will need some supporting edges. Looks perfect. What about delete? Let me grab these polygons, right click, and click on split. In fact, before doing that, open up the option, because you need to enable this one. If you don't, it is going to split out these polygons, but it is going to delete these polygons from the original mesh. So you need to be really careful. Right click, open up the option. Not that one. What was the name? Split, enable this. Then I will flatten these edges out along the Y. I will move these up. I will scale them as well. Then scale them in. Move these up one more time. Now I will close that hole. I'm going to rotate these around. Perfect. Lastly, I will scale these in. Okay, let's group them. This is bottle, this is the lid. This needs supporting edges as well. Now I will assign a material to check the surface. Create classic material. I will drop this one on the null. Let's select the material. I will first change the color, then go to the reflectance, then add in GGX. I will just change the Fresnel. I will also lower down the roughness to 1. I will simply orbit around the model. Seems perfect. I see no artifacts, which means that we could finish up the tutorial. So if you made it to the very end, thank you very much. If you have any questions, just let me know, and I will see you in the next tutorials. Bye.